How to price or not to price your landed home for sale. I'm Sarah X, founder of Miracle Homes. I specialize in landed sales, and over the past year, I've come across many sellers and owners who, for the very reasons I share in my other video, want to right size, want to upgrade, want to cash out, want to collect their inheritance money, but don't really understand what it means to price their unit for sale. And sometimes when they don't know how to price the unit, it leads to the unit being on the market for a very long time, giving the unit a sense of stigma as if something is wrong with that unit. I want to share with you today how you can price your unit sensitively to market conditions without shortchanging yourself while knowing that you are getting the best price in this time, in this place, and for your next season. So in today's video, I'm going to just cover three broad things. Number one, how to estimate the value of your home just by using existing sales data and rough construction costs. Number two, how to stay away from emotional numbers by using third-party professionals to give you a fair valuation. And number three, how to estimate whether or not it's worth it to stay in the market longer or whether it's worth letting go right now so that you'll be able to either achieve the right sizing cost and net gain of that extra investment money that you can take out and live with as your retirement fund, or be able to then achieve a very seamless upgrade into a larger landed property. Let's get started. First, I'm going to take you through a real life case study of my Mount Sinai Avenue Senli that I've already sold at $8.7 million, land size 3,450, built up 5,100 square feet. Now, this particular house was compared to the very near neighbor, number 7 Mount Sinai Rise. 7 Mount Sinai Rise actually sold for $8.75 million for a land size of 3,328 at a PSF of 2,629. And one thing to note is that Mount Sinai Rise is not the same as our Mount Sinai Avenue unit in terms of the land features. The Mount Sinai Avenue unit that we had a natural basement and an unconventional layout that most people might turn away from if they don't want to walk down a basement to their living room. However, this particular unit also had amazing views unblocked towards Dover, and that was a stunning highlight of the property that many other houses do not even have. Where do you get a stunning unblocked view of the entire Mount Sinai estate towards Dover MRT? That is impossible to find these days. While there was a pro, which is the view, the con was also the layout, which is that you have a natural basement where your living room is actually downstairs. Mount Sinai Rise did not have this special layout. It did also not have a special view. It was a normal piece of land, but also Mount Sinai Rise had a very nicely renovated interior. In fact, the owners renovated the house every 2 or 3 years or so to make improvements on it. Very new renovations that were done just a couple of years ago, and even including a beautifully done dining room and things like that. Now, I don't have pictures of the house to show you, but I had visited the house, and so I know that the renovation was very move-in. In contrast, our Mount Sinai Avenue house had not been renovated for 17 years. Little minor fixes were made here and there, but it wasn't exactly in the most tip-top move-in renovated condition. All things considered, you would expect that it was not going to be far away for you to sell this house close to this price of the Mount Sinai Rise, even though the land size was just a little tad smaller. The build-up was also significant for about this size. It was also about 4,500 square feet built up. Quite a nice build-up for this semi-detached house. We can expect that if this caveat was already in place, we should be expecting a similar price. However, let's backtrack. Earlier on in the process of the sale, the owners had wanted to say, oh, maybe we should be getting more like $9.8 million, even though there were no transactions to support such a sale. Because $9.8 million, that was going to be a 2,753 PSF for land for a house that has not been renovated for more than 17 years with an unconventional layout. Keeping in mind that looking at the rest of the transactions, for example, you have 6 Holland Grove Drive, that was a very nice house. That was already sold at 2,512 PSF. The land area 3,981. That 6 Holland Grove Drive is a newer build. That's already done in January. You also have a very old plot, which was 3,892 square foot, PSF 2,027. That is a rebuilt plot, and that gives you the rough sense of what base land prices should be in your neighborhood. First way to make sure that you get a rough valuation of your house is to look at the base land cost of a rebuilt plot nearby, or a house that looks like a single story that is going to be a rebuild. In this case, base land price looks like it's going to be about 2,000 per square foot in this Mount Sinai area. If you want to calculate a build price, so based on the land's price of 2,027 PSF times our 3,450 land area, we're going to get a base land price of about $7 million for our land. And so then how do we estimate the price of our built up area? 5,000 times, I would put it as 400 400, you are going to get $2 million for your structure. Why did I put a 400 per square foot? It's because this house is not new. In fact, the house is going to be needing renovations of maybe $400,000 to $500,000 because it's a big landed house. You need to put in a lift. You need to redo some of the electricals. You need to redo the toilets, things that are not to your tasting. And it's not going to be the price of a new build. A new build is going to be about $550 right now to $600 even for a higher end build. Average would be about $500. I would put an older structure, which yes, you can use the structure at about 400 PSF to be very fair to the new owners who will still need to put in at least $500,000 worth of work. We're getting right now to an easy $9 million valuation for our unit. Now, why did we eventually sell $8.7 million? Partially because the owners did feel that it was time to let go and that they wanted to let it go to this family that they did like. We actually were on the brink of doing more viewings to see if we could get a better price than what was offered on the table, but the owners had a very high integrity and said, look, if we agree to this price, let's just go ahead with it. And they were happy to let go and move on in life as well. So besides looking at the base land price and the build, it's also important to consider what are the competitors in that area and what prices they're offering and what they're likely to close at. We listed eventually moving down the sale price from 9.8 to 9.5 to $9 million and closed at 8.7. But guess what? On the market at the same time, a newer build came up, which was 3A Holland Grove Drive. It was a 3,734 square feet land, so land size was bigger. Built up was significant. It was 2.5 stories and it was newly renovated just 4 years or 5 years ago. This particular unit transacted for $9.2 million at a PSF of 2,464, making our sale at 2,521 PSF actually look like a better deal because the PSF was actually higher for our sellers compared to 3A Holland Grove Drive, which you can say, yes, it was a bigger piece of land, but it was also better and newer renovated than ours. For $9.2 million, you could have bought 3A Holland Grove Drive, much newer renovation, bigger land, and just $500,000 more. It is important to look into the market and what else is on the market so that we are not swayed by an emotional number in order to just say, oh, this is what we are looking at, this is what we want. One more thing to look at besides all of this is also our bank valuations. This second way of pricing and corroborating is that our bank valuations reflect fair market pricing and actual caveats that have already happened in the market. And if our bank valuations support up to a certain amount, which in our case, our bank valuations did support up to 9.2, 9.3 if you want to push the extreme. But the bank will also give you what is a fair valuation for your property. It is always possible to say, hey, can you match this? Can you stretch this? You can always ask that. And most banks will not say no. They will say, yeah, of course we can stretch. Nobody says that they don't want your business. The bigger the loan, the better for the bank. But if you can be so honest with yourself, you need to be asking the bank, can you give me a fair valuation for my property? Take into account any recent renovation done. Usually if the recent renovation is done within the last 5 years or so, it might be counted in. Anything longer than that, it might not be counted in or may not even be relevant because your renovation was not that recent. So it is very important for you to get a reality check. I can help you do this as your agent. My team can help you with it. Or you can also ask your own mortgage banker to make an assessment because you might have a mortgage with the bank, or even if your house is fully paid up, you can get your private banker or whoever is your banking relationship to help you to get a fair valuation for your property. Keeping in mind that this is a very good idea of what a fair market pricing might be for you to close on. So when you get a third party who is not your agent, not you, but a banking professional to give you that third party opinion, like really outside, it's not your real estate agent trying to say like, hey, we can't sell this price. It's about fair market value based on actual transactions. And if you really want to go one more step further, get an independent valuer. An independent valuer, I have some contacts to do that, can also give you an independent desktop valuation. Might just take you $200-$300 to give you an independent actual desktop valuation of what your house is going to be valued at. There are many ways for you to get a clear valuation idea so that you move away from emotional numbers. This is very common. In our case, fair valuation might be high 8s, emotional number might be you want 9. These are aspirational pricings and not saying they're unattainable, but unless your house is very newly renovated and almost 100% moved in, it is not easy right now in this current market for you to justify pushing up your prices above fair valuation to hit a max valuation, because a max valuation shows you what the bank is willing to support given, of course, factors of, let's say, shortage of supply in some areas for specific landed houses, but it may not apply and does not usually apply because most houses transact within a fair market value range. And lastly, one more thing I want to say about pricing your unit to sell is that if your unit is still in the market for a long time because you've overpriced it, two things. If you're right sizing, the condo prices are going to be moving faster than landed sometimes in certain areas because condos move faster than landed. If let's say you were eyeing to sell off your $10 million landed and then have a $4 million condo in 6 months to a year, if you were really letting your unit be stale for that long, the condo price could have moved up easily to 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, depending on how the market conditions go. And even worse, if you're selling an inter-terrace or small semi to upgrade to a larger semi-D or a detached house, house, the quantum of your landed house and any increase in the landed that is going to be bigger is going to be way over whatever you can achieve on a smaller scale with your sale. Let's say I have an emotional number. Oh, I must sell my interterrace at 5. When my actual fair valuation is about 4.5, I have to wait another 500K. If you wait 2 years for the market to really go up to that level, for you to hit a 5 in an area that is okay number of transactions, you might be wanting to buy a more desirable area with a higher number of transactions. Let's say you want to upgrade from District 15 to District 10 or District 16 to District 15. And District 15 definitely has more transactions than District 16. If you are going to be wanting to upgrade in location or size, the thing that you're upgrading to might go overpriced beyond what you can afford if you don't take action to sell your unit at what the market says they can afford at this time and in this space. So is it worth it for you to really wait out for a higher price when the thing that you want to buy and transition into might go up even more? It may not be worthwhile and it might cause you even more pain if you wait even longer. In conclusion, I don't mean to be so honest and blunt with you, but as landed owners, you are really in a very privileged position. Let me remind you that you probably bought this for a fraction of the price, $1-2 million, and your property is at least $8-10 million, or you bought something for $4 million, like a detached plot, and your unit is now worth $20 million. You've seen multiple folds, multiplication of your asset, and you should be so grateful. And I am so happy for you. I will be so blessed to help you unlock that amazing miracle of generational wealth by selling your landed home and releasing it to whoever needs it in your next generation. But if you are holding on to it tightly with a closed fist and you cannot let go because of an emotional number, or even worse, emotional baggage, because you are emotionally too attached to this house and you're selling a very high price because you're actually not ready to sell. Well, number one, if you're not really ready to sell, please do some emotional work. Say goodbye to the house, say goodbye to your memories, take some time to have emotional closure on your house, and we'll do another video on that, on how to have emotional closure on your landed home. Number two, look at the market, look at your competitors. What is everybody else selling? Number three, you can do a simple calculation like what I've done, which is to look at the baseline price. Realistically, give yourself a structural figure, PSF, on your build that makes sense because a new buyer is going to have to still do works on it if it's not brand new. So I would average about 400 PSF for a 15-20-year-old build. And if your plot is a rebuilt plot, then you know that you can't be commanding that much of a premium on top of the base land price of your neighbor that sold a rebuilt plot. And then number four, go and get a third-party professional like a bank, a mortgage guy, or even an independent valuer to give you a fair market valuation so that you don't get hooked onto emotional numbers that cause you to overprice your unit and stay on the market for longer than is necessary. And number five, go and have a look on what you want to buy, because when you have a look at what you want to buy and realize that prices there are also going up, then you'll realize that there's almost no point in overpricing because your next unit is also going to go up in price. You are going to end up being in the same boat, or your net is going to be the same or actually even smaller because the thing that you are either right sizing to will increase in price, or the jump that you have to make to the bigger unit is going to have to be even higher because the quantum there went up even higher. So the same percentage of increase in the property price index is going to increase the quantum requirement of that bigger property. In conclusion, I hope you stay safe. I hope you consider the reasons why you are selling before you even think of selling. And if you want a free consultation for me to really look through your property portfolio, you need some rebalancing. For example, you own a smaller interterrace and a condo, a big condo. You want to kind of rebalance all of the assets so that you have bigger own stay and a smaller condo for investment. And that's a really great reason as well. Or if you have a large plot of land that you don't even use, you have a land at home that's so empty, I urge you to please release this to the family that needs it for the next season so that you can also move on to your next season and live life more freely and happily. I'm Sarah X, founder of Miracle Homes, and if you like videos like that, I do them every single week, so I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe. See you next week.